Entering Kenmore. Doors will open on the left.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 26 of Entering Kenmore. I am David Azer alongside Zach Coe. Zach, we are in the midst of a 10-game heater of the 2025 Boston Red Sox, something I don't think anyone would have expected heading into this roller coaster of a season, especially how they were playing as of late. Now they're 8 games over 500. How are the vibes right now, Zach?
It's too much winning. I can't take it anymore. It's too much. Mr. President, it's enough. It's really is remarkable because obviously like you go into 2 series back to back against the Nationals and Rockies and you're like, all right, you should be 6-0 after that. It's something that we said 2 episodes ago now where like we should be talking on what would have been the 10th, so this past Thursday, about a six game winning streak, but it really just carried over into that Rays series. And to me, this was the most encouraging one of the bunch. Like, yeah, you beat the shit out of the Nationals and Rockies. Congratulations. You should. But it's about the way that they won these games against the Rays. You talk about Thursday where you're going into, was it the 7th inning? Down?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're down 3-1 going into the 7th inning, and you just find a way to win it. I forget the exact path that they took, but it was Marcelo Meyer double to score Trevor Story and then get Romy to third. And then Cedon single, I think it was, that scored. Yep. Yeah, that scored Romy and Meyer. All of a sudden you win 4-3. And then on Friday, obviously you have the Cedon walk-off. It's just this team, they find a way to do it every single night. It doesn't matter what the game is giving you. They're going to fight and they're going to find a way to win, which is like always the earmark of a good team. We saw it earlier in the season. I mean, how many times on Thursday and Friday, how many times do we see them lose that game by 1 run? I mean,
so many times.
It feels like the corner has been turned here in the sense that they know how to win. Like, I think a lot of the beginning of the season was them learning how to win. And it's something that Lou and numerous other people talked about throughout this stretch about them being a young team, but you don't learn how to win in the minors. And even Will Middlebrooks told the story on air yesterday that the last game before the All-Star break when he was in the minors, they used to just all use the same bat. And you had to swing at the first pitch. And that's just what they did for the entire game because winning wasn't really emphasized there. It's more just about developmental and like getting your way to the big leagues. So we're kind of seeing them learn how to win in real time. I mean, there are still games that are very winnable. The night game against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago now, or I guess a little under 2 weeks ago now, where it's a game that you should win and but you lose. But again, like, it's finding a way to get the job done in different ways. I mean, obviously we saw them put up 11, 10, 9, 10, 10 runs against the Rockies and Nationals, but then these close games, 1-0 on Saturday with Garrett Crochet on the mound, first complete game of his career. Again on Sunday, 4-1, Bayo spins a gem. So it's not just the hitting that's firing on all cylinders right now, it's the pitching too.
Yeah, and it's one of those cases where it's kind of unfortunate that the break is happening right now because if the Red Sox could go out there and play through this whole week, I think they would absolutely choose to do so. But yeah, like you said, I think the most impressive thing is they're winning games they would have lost earlier in this season. You can really feel them turning that corner. And, 10 games is 10 games, but it just goes to show you how fast a team season can change in a 162 game season, because like many others, I was pretty ready to pack it in a week or so ago. Like, the vibes could not have been lower. They were dropping series to the Angels. They were getting swept by the Angels, and it was just all embarrassing play. Then you really turn this corner. You're feeling good. I'm not fully ready to commit to a deep playoff run until I see how they play after the break. You are?
Yeah, I'm in. They've got me. And something I said on Red Sox Review the other day with Dan Ball. But it kind of just goes like that's what makes baseball so fun. Like it's such a grind. It's a 162 game season, and 2 weeks ago when you're on the plane, or I guess it would have been 3 weeks ago now, you're on the plane back from that long West Coast swing. You just traded Devers. The offense looks like they couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag, and all of a sudden they make one little adjustment to the hitting room, and everything starts to click again. I mean, you could feel, like I said, 3 weeks ago, you could feel like the sky's falling. Why should I had a whole rant about how thank God for Love Island because this Red Sox team fucking sucks and I don't want to watch them. So it gives me a distraction. I mean, and it like pretty much completely 180'd after I said that. This season of Love Island sucked and the Red Sox started playing better. So I was dead wrong on that, and we're going to get into some stuff that we were also dead wrong about later when we revisit our predictions and see how they're doing so far. But like, and now, like I said, 3 weeks later, you're on top of the world. You're in a 10-game heater. You're only 3 games back of the division now? Yeah, 3 games back of the division, 1 game back of the top wild card spot. And it feels like a whole different team right now. Like if you had told me that when they traded Rafael Devers, we'd be looking at 53 and 45 at the end of the deadline, or at the end of the first half or unofficial first half, I would have called you crazy, especially if you then said, yeah, they're also on a 10-game heater.
Yeah, it's very impressive to see what this lineup is doing pretty much from top to bottom too. It's not just one guy who's coming through every night. And you got Yoshida back, you got Bregman back, both in these in this winning streak, and it doesn't even seem like they're pulling the freight offensively. It seems like you're getting contributions from everyone on any given night. And it's really cool to see that this lineup kind of instills fear in opposing pitchers now, pretty much 1 through 9. Like, looking at this lineup on a daily basis, there are a lot of times where I'm like, yeah, did we really need to lead off Nate Eaton, or did we really need to put, Romy Gonzalez in the 2 or 3 hole on a nightly basis? But, at this point, it's like everyone's hitting. So
Right.
I can't get upset with any lineup they're trotting out there right now. And I am curious to see how the break affects this, because do they just come out of the gates in the second half firing on all cylinders like we've seen, or do some people fall back down to earth a bit? I'm very interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's kind of the big dogs now. I mean, you come out of the break, you see the Cubs, then you see the Phillies, then you see the Dodgers, and it doesn't lighten up after that either. You see the Astros twice. Let me pull up the full schedule. I know I went through it on the last episode, but this is really where the rubber hits the road. Dodgers, right. Twins, Astros, Royals, Padres, Astros. So you play some really good teams there up until the 15th, August 15th against the Marlins. So it's really like what do you think they can do in this? I mean, we're talking about playing the Twins, who are a team that are kind of like where you were like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, where you're not really sure what they're going to do. They're currently sitting 4 games out of a wild card spot right now. So you could fully push them into cellar territory. Like do you sweep the Twins in Minnesota to push them over the edge into cellars and then wind up with Joe Ryan, which I don't really think is a possibility, but at least not anymore. Like that's something that could happen. I mean, you just have to take care of business against these teams. I know the Astros are way better than I thought they were going to be after trading Kyle Tucker, but they're 16 games over 500, 56 and 40 heading into the break. They have a pretty hefty lead over the Mariners, Rangers, etc. in the AL West. So it doesn't lighten up here. And I think at this point they're buyers. Everything today, Jeff Passan and Ken Rosenthal both said that they think the Red Sox are legitimate World Series contenders. And honestly, I think it kind of all starts with Roman Anthony, which is like bananas to say for a guy who's only played in, let's see, what is it now? He has 106 ABs. So how many games is that? I don't know. I have the stats pulled up to give the numbers since they got back from the West Coast, so I can't see exactly how many games he's played. But since they got back from that West Coast, it's 31. He's played in 31 games.
Okay, yeah.
He's hitting 371 with a 967 OPS over his last 16 games with 1 home run, 7 doubles. He's an absolute monster. He's everything that we thought he was going to be and then some. And he's still only 21 years old. Speaking of real quick, Is that video of him and Marcelo on the double date real? Because that is fucking electric. That is so awesome. If him
Yeah.
and Marcelo are just double dating it up in the city of Boston. And even like, I forget who it was that asked him, like, can you go anywhere in the city without
Oh, it was
getting
Bradford.
recognized? Oh, what was it? Yeah, and they were like, no. So they knew that they were gonna go out on this double date, which like not that they should stop living their lives and stop going on dates because they get recognized places, but they knew that was gonna be out there. And like, dude, if you're two 21-year-olds and you're on the Boston Red Sox, you're on a 10-game heater, you're living it up, like you look like you're going to be two superstars in this league. Fuck it, go on double dates with two smokes. Like, why not? Like, the people are only going to look at that and be like, "Yep, they're them." Like that is the definition of he's him. Just double dating it up in the city of Boston as two studs.
Oh yeah, I think it looked a lot like Roman Anthony. I didn't get a good angle of potentially Marcelo Meyer, but I think it might have actually been them, which is
Yeah, I saw a
absolutely
video that
electric.
made it look more like Meyer
Okay.
than the original picture. But yeah, that is pretty electric that they're just out there on double dates.
Oh man,
Good
I
for them.
mean, what else? What else can you do when you're feeling this good? I think it was Romy Gonzalez, right, who said they are tremendously locked in.
Yeah, I think
I
it was
love that.
specific to him. Like they
Okay.
asked him how he was or like how locked in he was feeling against left-handed pitchers, and he said tremendously locked in, and obviously it became the shirts, which are awesome too.
Yeah, I
And
need one of
another
those.
thing on the shirts, those were I think there were like 47 brand shirts. It must be awesome to just be like, oh hey, like our utility man, platoon first baseman said he was tremendously locked in. Like, how quickly can we turn these into shirts? Oh, 2 days, sick.
Hey, those shirts are fire. I haven't
They
found
are.
one
They're
yet.
good
I'm
shirts.
gonna need one. I think that has to be like we had the damage done or do damage in the
Yeah,
2018 playoffs. It might have to be tremendously locked in if they
yeah,
make the playoffs and
yeah.
make
The
a
shirts.
run.
You'd have to imagine that they'll go on sale at some point. I mean,
Oh
obviously,
yeah,
it's pretty tough right now to like turn around shirts that quickly if it's not
right.
just in that small quantity. But yeah, great shirts, great heater, great winning streak, great team. I'll say it,
Oh
great team.
yeah. Yeah, it's awesome to enjoy watching the Boston Red Sox again. I think that's the bottom line here is it has just been really fun. And what's not so fun is maybe some of our preseason predictions, which have largely not come true. I don't know if did you have anything else before we dive into these?
Um, I feel like I did, but I can't think. Oh, well, I just kind of wanted to revisit. Well, this will segue well into my prediction for MVP of the
Okay.
season for the Red Sox. This is the type of run that it would take, and I feel like that's kind of where everyone was at. That it would take for you to start to believe in this team again after trading
Yeah.
Rafael Devers. I mean, they just as easily could have fallen off a cliff, and I think a lot of people were expecting them to. I mean,
Right.
that's a move that you make when you're selling. Like it's as simple as that. You don't trade your best player for prospects and a reliever who's been like meh. But like I mean, Hicks was essentially a salary dump in that. Like you in order for
Mhm.
them to take on all of Devers' contract, you had to take on Hicks's deal, which I'm fine with, but that's a move of selling. Like that's the long and the short of it. There's not really anything else to it there. But for them to then go on this heater and figure things out, and like I said, it's not just that they're blowing teams out, it's that they're finding ways to win close games. It's
Yeah.
that's the most encouraging thing overall to me. Like just the ability to dig down deep and find it somewhere to say, like, I'm not losing this game. And it's Rafael, it's the guys that are doing it too. That game on Thursday for the all of the RBI in that game to come from Meyer, Rafael, and I think Anthony had one early. He did. He had a single
Mhm.
in like the second or third inning that put them up 1-0. For
Right.
those guys to be the ones that are contributing in those key spots, in those spots to say like we're not losing this baseball game is that means more to me than like any type of winning streak or like they could have lost a game somewhere along the way. Like the Yankees lost a game to the Rockies, the Astros lost a game to the Rockies. Like these are major league teams. Like they're gonna win games. I mean they've both won games, the Nationals and Rockies, against teams they shouldn't have. But that ability to find it somewhere within you to win the game is so incredibly huge to me. Like Christian Vasquez was a guy that like he's mostly not going to hit his body weight, but he just had the it factor. Like Kike Hernandez is another one in the playoffs. The Lil Poppy 2021 playoff Linsanity run for Kike, that'll go down in infamy. It's that type of clutch gene that you really just can't teach, like that these guys at such a young age. And I talked about it 10 minutes ago. At first it didn't seem like they had it. They didn't know how to win because they were just focusing on developing and moving up the ladder and getting there. But I mean, I know Carabas tweeted it the other day, but where are all the fire core idiots now?
Yeah, they have gone quiet. And the other interesting part of that is the return of the Devers trade has not factored into this winning
No,
streak
at all.
at all.
Yeah, literally at all.
It's cool to see other guys step up. And it really seemed like that was a turning point, like you said, in this season was would they sink or swim without their best player? Thus far, they've really turned it on after the fact. And I do question how long is this sustainable, but to me, I think I am pretty all in on this right now.
They're not gonna many games left in a row, but like I do think that they can be a. I know they have the hardest strength of schedule for the rest of the season, but like to me, there's no reason why they can't sustain success here. I mean, they're 3 games back in the division. They're firmly in the wild card race. They're going to be buyers. And from the sounds of it,
Mhm.
it doesn't sound like they're just like they're not looking for Luis Garcia and Lucas Sims and Danny Jansen. Like from everything Breslow is saying, they're looking for like a true set number 2 behind Garrett Crochet. They're looking for like another Garrett Crochet pretty much. Where that comes from right now, I don't really know because it's so hard to tell what like those guys aren't just like, oh, well, like this guy is going to be traded this deadline. It's not like, oh, Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly, they're both rentals. Like it's not that simple. And it's something Breslow touched on with Bradfo, where sometimes the toughest part is figuring out the guys are available because you'll talk to a team for 2 or 3 days about a guy and then they'll be like, oh, we were never trading to happen. But I'll get on that after I finish this thought here. But so you need to identify the teams that are willing to move these kind of controllable starters because that's what they're looking for. Like they're looking for a guy that can be the number 2. Like, all right, here you have a 3-game playoff series. You're a wild card team. Well, here's Garrett Crochet, and I'll use Joe Ryan for example, just for the sake of it. But here's Garrett Crochet and Joe Ryan. Good fucking luck. And if you can find a way to beat one of those 2 guys, here's Brian Bayo, who finally took the step forward that we've been waiting for years. Or here's Lucas Giolito, who's been one of the hottest pitchers in baseball. So like, I really do think that while they do have that strength of schedule, that they're going to go out there and they're going to make a big impact acquisition. It may not come on the offensive side, but right now they don't need it.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because you had Hunter Dobbins go down with the torn ACL.
All right, we didn't
Which,
even talk about that.
yeah, which is like the one downside of this 10-game heater is you lost Hunter Dobbins for probably the rest of the season. But you still have a pretty solid amount of pitching depth where Richard Fitz, of course, finally got his first win.
Promptly sent back down and then
promptly
promptly called back up.
Yeah, within the span of like what 2-3 days there.
Yeah, literally 2 days. He went down. Isaiah Campbell came up, and
Yeah,
then the next day Campbell went down and Dobbins came back.
yeah. So I am curious. Do they, like you said, do they find that number 2 and you don't even have to rely on Fitz? But even if you do, even if they can't find a deal that makes sense for the long-term outlook of this team, I'm okay with relying on Fitz and some of these younger guys as a 5th starter for the rest of the season. Like, I think the rotation's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm a believer in Brian Bayo, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you going to get out of Bayo for the rest of the season? I think it's more sustainable than most. Like, I think this is the
Yeah.
guy that he's going to be. Giolito, I'm a little bit more weary on just because, like, we've seen him do it at a high level before in the big leagues, but we haven't seen that in so long. It's just like, is that going to be sustainable? I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little bit skeptical on that front, but we'll see. But I think they're gonna go out and find that guy. Like whether it be, I keep coming back to the Mariners, and I feel like everyone keeps coming back to the Mariners because it seems like just such an easy fit for a deal here, especially when it comes to Jarren Duran, whose name is getting thrown out a whole lot. I would be shocked if on August 1st, Jarren Duran's still on the Red Sox, which obviously I'm wearing the shirt right now, but I've been pretty critical of Jarren Duran, and I don't really fuck with him, but I do fuck with the like mental health aspect of his journey, which is like honestly the like only redeeming quality that he has so far this year is his mental health journey. But like it seems like that's the fit. Like it doesn't matter if you're in the worst hitter's park for home runs if you have a leadoff guy who can just poke the ball into right field and you blink and he's on second base. Just a line drive hitter that can make things happen with his feet. That kind of feels like a hitter that's tailor made for Safeco, T-Mobile is Safeco. It's always Safeco. But anyways, like that just seems like the fit. But it's like, is Jerry Dipoto going to go out and do that? Like my big fear coming into the season was I didn't want to end up like the Mariners. I said that like you just always are like in the mix, and then you fall a couple games short. It feels like it's getting pretty close to make it or break it time for him. I'm trying to load up the standings right now, but everything's running slow for me for some reason. I'm having quite the day against technology. It's usually Zach versus math. Today it's been Zach versus technology.
Let's see. I got it. The
5
Mariners.
games back. Yeah. 5 games back of the West, and they're in the third wild card spot right now. So, like, does that make sense for them to move a starter for a Jarren Duran? You would think so, but it's also Jerry Dipoto logic. So we'll see. And like at this point, like my choice out of the bunch would have been Brian Wu before the season. I love Brian Wu. I think that he's probably out of your price range now with how he's performed so far. George Kirby's been bad, but are they willing to sell that low on a guy like Kirby? Can't imagine. So now you're looking at like Bryce Miller. And like I like Bryce Miller. He just hasn't been able to put it together this year. It's just, I don't know. Like I said on the last episode, I think the deal's going to get done and it's going to be like, oh, well, like I didn't even realize that guy would have been an option. And it's just like looking across the league, it's kind of tough to like peg those guys out because again, like you just don't assume that they're available. Like, like I don't know who do the like. I don't know. The Phillies is another popular one, but I'm not a big Mick Abel fan. So like, unless it's Andrew Painter coming in, and Andrew Painter would be great, but how much better does Andrew Painter make the 2025 Red Sox?
Not that much better. And yeah, you look around the league here, it's like we've been going over throughout the past couple episodes, like the bottom of the barrel here in terms of you got the Marlins, like the A's, the Rockies. None of those guys you want starters from.
Yeah, or like the Padres are another one, like Michael King or Dylan Cease. Like I don't see them moving one of them for Jarren Duran. And also, if I'm the Red Sox, I'm not moving Jarren Duran for one of those guys because you immediately have to pay them.
Yeah, I agree. It's. I was talking to my dad about this earlier too. Is you're kind of searching for another pitcher along the lines of Garrett Crochet, where maybe even you have more control than Garrett Crochet had, but those guys don't just pop up out of nowhere. So
no.
It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that because do you go after a 1-year rental type of guy like a Cease or a King and don't trade Duran, maybe trade some of your lower level prospects and still have a decent 1-2 punch for the playoff run? I could see that happening if they can't make anything else happen in terms of long-term control for a younger starter.
How sustainable do you think it is to continue running with this outfield configuration where you have 5 guys for 4 spots?
Yeah, I don't think it's sustainable because a lot of the reason why I'm upset that we're heading into the All-Star break right now is because I want to keep this momentum going. But another part of that is consistent playing time. And if you're giving one of these outfielders a day off pretty consistently, then I don't think that bodes well for the rest of the season, especially this pissed both of us off was a couple it must have been Thursday? No, I think it was the series finale against the Rockies where they didn't put Rafaela in the lineup, who was on a heater, because that was the first game Yoshida was back, I'm pretty sure. So
I think that was because Rafaela got the big hit in that first. It must have been that series finale against Colorado.
yeah, regardless, it's like all of these guys are on right now. Why would I want to take one of them out of the lineup? The easiest way to do it is to get rid of one of them. And it's unfortunate that Duran seems like the odd man out. If I had a gun to my head right now, I would just find a way to get rid of Yoshida, to be honest. And
Yeah, well,
then your
that
problems
kind of
solved.
that leads me into what I was going to say there. I don't want to trade Jaron Duran or Willier Abreu just for the sake of getting
Right.
Masataka Yoshida playing time. And we know that Yoshida is a guy that they tried to move mountains to get off this roster this offseason. I mean,
Yeah.
they were willing to attach Tristan Casas to him to get him off the books. And it's unfortunate because I like Yoshida. He's an electric factory. The form running, everything he does is awesome, and it seems like he's a super popular guy in the clubhouse. It's just the last administration, if you even want to call it that. Like, I don't know what else you would call it, but the last administration gave out a deal to a guy that just doesn't fit the current roster construction. And unfortunately, it's something we talked about all offseason. Every team in baseball knows that. Why would they give up any assets and bail you out of that contract when they know that more likely than not, you're going to have to DFA this guy? And
Yeah.
part of it is the money left on the deal at 2.5 years and like 30 something odd million or whatever it is. Like, it's not a super comfortable contract for a lot of teams to be taking on for a guy that we mostly believe to be a DH only player, especially one that hasn't played much this year. Like, can Masataka Yoshida play well enough in these next, how many games are there until the deadline? Like 9?
Yeah,
10,
9 or 10 probably.
3, 6, 9, 12. 12
Okay.
games until the deadline. So, like, can Yoshida play well enough to get a team to bite on him if you eat half the money? And even then, like, I don't care about the money necessarily, but that just feels like a lot. And I think Yoshida can be a valuable piece to the lineup too, because we talked about it as he was coming back. He doesn't strike out a lot. He puts the ball in play, and we see what happens when you put the ball in play. Like, it's just tough to be in this situation mid-season, and it goes back to having an incomplete offseason. But
Mhm.
like these are the cards you're dealt, and I don't know how much more sustainable it is. Like, Breslow keeps saying, "Oh well, like, yeah, sure, we're gonna have an odd man out on any given night, but that means we have an absolute weapon off the bench." And to me, it just feels better served to have that roster spot, or have that piece be somewhere else to bring something in. It's just what is that piece? And that brings me back to the Joe Ryan point. It's something Breslow said about how sometimes you can spend 2 to 3 days talking to a team about a guy that they were never going to move in the first place. And you're like, oh, well, we just wasted our time on that and we could have been working on something else. I kind of think that's what the Twins did to the Red Sox based on everything we know. That seemed like, based on what Jared was saying between Twitter and the podcast, that things were hot and heavy last Monday about Joe Ryan and then cooled off from there. So I kind of wonder if it was just like the Twins being like, oh, yeah, will you give us Roman or Marcelo? And the Red Sox were like, no. And then they like talked about it, like some other names were thrown around, and Falvey was like, I'll let you know tomorrow. And then he called back and was like, yeah, we're not moving Joe Ryan unless it's Marcelo or Roman Anthony, which, again, like, I would be absolutely furious if they traded one of those guys for Joe Ryan. I really like Joe Ryan, but if you're giving up more for him than you gave up for Garrett Crochet, we have a problem.
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly agree there. And I think there are other avenues you can pursue throughout this trade deadline. Like you said, I think it could be a guy that we never even knew was available. And I mean, that deadline is getting closer and closer, and it's going to be super fun to follow. But I do really think, and I really buy into this team now that the national reporters are all over this. Like, every indication we've seen from the Jeff Pass and the Ken Rosenthals of the world is that they're all in. So if you're all in, you're going after another
Dude,
starter.
credit to Passon. Passon never gave up on this team. He was on the 10 like a month and a half ago, being like, I still wholeheartedly believe that this team can be a contender. Shout out Passon. That was quite the call.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Jeff Passan. Whatever he says, pretty much I will buy into, and especially when it's about my favorite baseball team, I absolutely love to see it. But yeah, I think now might be a good time to get into those preseason predictions. Do you want to start off? Because I know you kind of teased your preseason MVP.
Yeah, I had Rafael Devers as the preseason MVP, and to my credit, he was going to be the season MVP if they didn't trade him. That's just I don't know. Like, that's one of those things that if you had told me when we recorded that episode and I was like, Rafael Devers is your best player, he's going to continue to be your best player, and he's going to be the season MVP. If you were like, Zach, they're actually going to trade him on Father's Day, I would have laughed right in your face. Like,
While
it's
I'm
just,
eating hibachi.
yeah, it's just it's one of those things that I never would like. I mean, no one would have seen it coming. We just talked about trading Duran or trading pieces for a pitcher that we never would have known were available. Talk about like that's a move that you just don't see coming. Like a guy that you just signed this that like I mean, we did the episode. We had to cut like 50 minutes out of that episode because we were just spewing absolute nonsense in the pure shock of they just traded Rafael Devers. Like, so I mean, we can chalk that one up as an L, but
Yeah.
like, man, that is one that I just did not. Like I said, I would have laughed in your face if you told me that 4 months ago.
Yeah, the funny thing is you have Devers and I have someone who might also not be on the team come the end of the season. I had Jarren Duran, who even thus far has had a pretty down season compared to his 2023 and 2024. So I'll chalk that up as an L as well. And I also don't know how long he's going to remain on this team. Could he be gone in a couple weeks? I wouldn't be shocked at all. But yeah, in terms of our Cy Young, I think we both hit the nail on the head. This was pretty obvious. It was Garrett Crochet all the way. He has done nothing but honestly exceed my expectations thus far.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I had all the preseason bets on him to Cy Young, lead the league in strikeouts. I mean, he's just been absolutely everything you could have dreamed of and more. Like for this to be his first full season as a starting pitcher, and it's just whatever you need from him, he's willing to do it. Against Cincinnati, the offense puts up some runs, and he has probably what was his worst start, which was very weird, a very weird start because the first 3 innings he was cruising, and I was sitting up in the Spanish radio booth being like, he's gonna fucking no hit these guys. Like that's how good that stuff looked for the first 3 innings, and it ended up being like 5 runs or something like that. And then was it against the Nationals he pitched again?
Yeah.
So yeah, so then he pitches against the Nationals and he's not as sharp again. He's a little bit shaky, and you're like, okay, like something to monitor here. His first full year with a workload. Like, are they going to skip him before the break? I think everyone kind of assumed that he wasn't going to pitch in the All-Star game. And which ultimately, I don't know if this was actually his decision, but the Red Sox made it sound like it was his decision. And he went to them and said, hey, listen, I'm not going to pitch in this thing. This is my first year ramping up my workload. Like, I just don't think I need it to go out there and pitch 1 inning in a exhibition game, which if it actually was his idea, credit to him. But like, either way, again, I don't think he's kicking and screaming over Bailey, Breslow, Cora, or whoever saying like, hey, man, we're going to have you be down for the All-Star game. Like, sorry. Like, again, it's 1 inning in an exhibition game. If he's that bent out of shape about it, then, like, tough shit.
I think he's still going down there, too. Like, I saw
yeah,
a
they're
picture
there.
Of, yeah.
Yeah, they're because they do all the photo shoots and stuff. I forget who said, maybe it was OB or someone, said that Bregman was going down to Atlanta for the home run derby tonight and then flying back here for rest and recovery and whatnot. I mean, he was never going to be playing in that game, just coming off of the IL. But yeah, Crochet is not going on. And even if Chapman doesn't get in, I'm perfectly okay with that too. Like at the end of the day, I don't super care about a guy who's been a veteran pitching in his 8th All-Star game for 1 inning, just going out there and, letting it bark. But I would just prefer that all these guys shut it down for the break.
Yeah, it's interesting on that line of thinking. It seems like a lot more guys than we've seen in years past are skipping the All-Star game. Like you had Mizorowski of the Brewers get in. He's pitched like 30 innings, 5 starts,
26 innings or something like that.
Yeah, and you got all the Phillies players rightfully crashing out over there, guys not getting in. But
credit to the dude, like if you're the Phillies, you look like a fantastic organization for activating the clause in Christopher Sanchez's contract. Yep. All it does is cost you $50,000, which for an organization like the Phillies is a drop in the bucket. And one of your best starters just doesn't have to go to the All-Star game and potentially put more mileage on his arm. Like that was the easiest decision of all time for them. Like, sure, it doesn't show up on his resume as an All-Star, but like we see so many guys, like Zach McKinstry is an All-Star this year.
Yeah.
Like there are so many, like Mizorowski, like you said, has like 20 something innings and is now a one-time All-Star. Like to me, the All-Star thing doesn't really matter because, like you said, so many guys back out that the rosters end up being like 40 guys each. Like
Mhm.
I just like I don't know. Like I like that they started doing the all MLB team thing because I think that's way more of a telling sign about where you stand in terms of the league than the All-Star game. Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing in the NFL with the Pro Bowl. Like if you're a first team, second team, third team All Pro, that carries so much more weight than actually being an All-Star.
Yep, couldn't agree more on that end as well.
Oh, I just
Both.
had just to
Oh,
wrap up my crochet. Sorry,
oh,
we
you're
kind of
good.
got off on the All-Star tangent, but
Yeah.
crochet on Saturday, like I said, 2 shaky starts in a row. Your offense only puts up 1 run. He's like, fine, how about a complete game shut piece? Like, it's just, and it seems like it's every time. Like, when things were going rough earlier in the season and you were on, say, a 3-4 game losing streak and you really needed a guy to just come out and be like, again, like I talked about finding a way to win when talking about the young guys, but the Crochet's had that all year. Like, okay, we're on a 4-game skid. We're winning this game because I'm the pig. I'm the workhorse. I'm going out there and I'm going to put my nuts on the table and shut this team down. Like, this was something that we expected him to grow into, not
Yeah.
just something that he was going to like immediately come in and be. Like, I mean, what an absolute home run acquisition thus far. And of course, we still have the entire second half of the season to go. But again, like, I just don't, aside from him like completely breaking down, which I don't think would be the case, like, I think they would skip starts and manage his workload before it ever got to that point. Like, that might be the best move that any team made this offseason. And thank God they got that contract extension done, because when we were talking about it before it was done, some of the numbers that we were throwing around were crazy. Like, before this all happened, if someone said to me like I would have been perfectly fine giving Crochet 300 million on that extension.
Yep.
Like, wouldn't have even batted an eye. I think the number I said was like 250 when we were talking about it, and they got it done for like one whatever.
I think it was
Like,
180.
yeah, like what a steal and it's just not a cloud hanging over the head of the team anymore. Like, imagine what it would have been like if you trade Devers, for example. Like, he's everything you need and more. He's the stopper. He's everything that this team has been missing since we had prime Chris Sale, or since they had Nathan Eovaldi, like, to go out there and just be that guy. Which actually, Nathan Eovaldi may be a sneaky trade deadline target if the Rangers
Yeah.
decide to sell. He was between the Rangers and Red Sox this offseason and ultimately decided to stay in Texas. So I feel like maybe the Rangers would be in a position where, like, all right, like, we want to trade you, but we're not going to fuck you over on where you're going to go. And I feel like Boston could be a like potential match there.
Oh, that would be an awesome reunion.
Oh my God. I love Nate Eovaldi. He might be my
Yeah.
favorite non-Red Sox right now. And I mean, that's even kind of a cop-out because he was on the team, but he's
Mhm.
one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. He's just like, talk about a guy who has the it factor when the lights are the brightest. Nate is certainly one of them.
Yeah, that would be a big acquisition for a deep playoff run, and you've seen him do it multiple times. And you know, he had some injury concerns early on in his career, but since then he's been kind of a
Yeah,
workhorse.
largely gone away.
Yeah. So I would be all in on that. But yeah, so looking back at our preseason predictions here, we have breakout. We both picked a hitter and a pitcher. We both
Same
picked
hitter.
Tristan Casas.
Next
And
year.
yeah, we'll
You
see
can
how,
we can fill out the graphic for preseason next year, and under
yeah.
breakout, we're both gonna have Tristan Casas again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Kyle Pitts at this point in fantasy
Another
football.
guy I love. Another guy I love.
You drafted him this year too?
Man, so I've actually done pretty well quitting him in redraft,
Yeah.
just because like the way I go about quick fantasy football tangent, the way I go about my drafts usually is I don't really prioritize the tight end position.
Right.
So he's usually gone by the time I'm looking for a tight end. That's usually a spot I just look to rotate the hot hands.
Mm-hmm.
So he's usually gone by then, but I do have him in a dynasty league. So
Well, next year is his year, and next year is Tristan Casas' year. So
This year is Kyle Pitts' year. We haven't seen him fail yet this year.
we'll see. Give it a couple weeks into the NFL season. But yeah, on the pitching side, I had Richard Fitz, and I'm not willing to say this was fully wrong. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't think so. I think the jury's still out there.
yeah, jury is definitely still out, and it does depend on whether or not they bring in another starter. Because if they do, I don't know if Fitz has a rotation spot for the rest of the year. But I still think he should be getting it over Walker Buehler if his play keeps up. So yeah, we'll see how much he factors in there. But you had a really good one that you hit the nail on the head here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to Tristan Casas, where I was just going to be the Brian Bayo guy until, like,
Yeah.
I'm just not, I was never going to quit Brian Bayo. I believed in the player, I believe in the stuff, and he's just a guy, I don't know. Sometimes there are just guys that I weirdly latch onto and, like, just claim them as my guys. And the root of the Brian Bayo obsession comes from an argument that me and my buddies got into in our Dynasty Baseball League a couple years ago, where Ian Anderson got dropped, and however it panned out, we got into a debate about Brian Bayo versus Ian Anderson, and they were all like, Ian Anderson is so much better than Brian Bayo, and I was just like, nope, you guys are fucking dumb. Like, Ian Anderson can't even sniff Brian Bayo's jock. And from that point on, I was just like if you wanted to, like, I was still living in Chicago when this happened. Like, I remember driving in Chicago on Lakeshore Drive, having this debate, like, in the front seat of my girlfriend's car, being like, these guys are fucking morons. Brian Bayo rocks. Like, I am the original Bayo boy, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like that. So I was never going to quit Brian Bayo. But again, this is finally the step forward that we're seeing from him. We're not seeing the childish breakdowns anymore. We're not seeing him have one tiny thing go wrong and throw a temper tantrum on the field. Like, he's finally piecing it together, and he's finally becoming that guy that we thought he was going to be, which isn't a number one. It maybe isn't even a number two, although on this team with the way he's pitching right now, he might be, but a solid middle of the rotation arm that is going to give you a chance to win every night. And that's really all you can ask for from a guy. Like, everyone wants to, like, develop their pitchers to be aces, but these 2s and 3s are just as valuable. I mean, Bayo's locked into that contract right now, and if he continues on this trajectory as being a 2 or a fringe 2, a really solid 3, that contract's going to look like a steal. Like, those guys make $20 million plus a year.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention, a lot of these young guys, like Rafaela, I mean, he is playing out of his mind right now, and that contract looks like a steal as well. So we get on a lot of these early commitments to young guys, but I feel like it's largely worked out for the Red Sox. Christian Campbell remains to be seen, but the Bayo and Rafaela extensions, I mean, like you said, look like steals right now.
Yeah, again, I think I've said this before, which development isn't linear.
Yep.
Believe it or not, development isn't linear. And, like, for Rafaela, I mean, I'm just as guilty as overreacting to small sample sizes or 1-year sample sizes as anybody, because we're going to get to my biggest disappointment, which was that guy, Ceddanne Rafaela. I just didn't see it with him. And I was dead wrong there. But, like, these contracts, they're 8-year commitments. Like, the jury's not going to be fully out on them after one season. And, like, at the end of the day, like, my complaint was never once about the Rafaela contract. I could give 2 shits and care less about the Ceddanne Rafaela contract. It's like $60 million in a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Like, even if he turned out to be what I thought he was, which was a super utility player that you could plug and play at all 3 outfield positions, short and second base, and even third. Like, that's still a very valuable contract for that. But yeah, the jury was never going to be out on those contracts after one season, no matter how much everybody wanted to shit on them. And again, my problem was never with the contract, because it's not my money. And again, at the end of the day, $60 million over 8 years is a drop in the bucket for Major League Baseball.
No doubt. And yeah, an interesting one too is Christian Campbell did end up signing that extension early. Obviously, he was the one who made the opening day roster, but neither of us picked him as our rookie of the year. So I had Roman Anthony, who is playing out of his mind right now. I think he has been a key factor in this 10-game winning streak and their positive play even before that win streak. So I'm noticing that. I'm happy with that pick. It was the obvious one, but even still, I'm happy with that.
I had Marcelo on that front, which I think the jury is still out on. I think Roman Anthony's going to win the AL Rookie of the Year. So I think I'm going to
Hmm.
ultimately be wrong on that one. But I remember my logic in picking Marcelo was a lack of belief in Trevor Story to stay healthy. So it was more just like, okay, well, like if Trevor Story is going to go down, we're expecting him to be a key cog in this, both offensively and defensively. And if he's not going to play, it's going to be on Marcelo to fill those shoes. Marcelo's been all right. They're really hesitant to let him play against lefties, which I know the numbers are the numbers and they're not great. I would like to see him play more against lefties, especially because
Yeah.
they're letting Roman do it. But I mean, again, like I think there's levels to this shit. Like obviously Marcelo was a top 15 prospect in the sport, but Roman Anthony was the number one prospect in the sport. I said on here before he got called up, I think Roman Anthony's going to win at least one MVP in his career. I excuse me. I don't know if I see that from Marcelo, and that's not to say that I don't think he's going to be a really good player, but like I think there's a difference, like a pretty big difference between the number one prospect in the sport and even the number 10 prospect. So I'm willing to concede that one because, like I said, I think Roman's going to win the actual Rookie of the Year, so it'd be tough for him to be the Rookie of the Year for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, but I will give Meyer his flowers defensively because this is a guy who, like we kind of thought when Trevor Story went down with a potential injury, which hasn't happened, and obviously I hope it doesn't happen, but Bregman ultimately went down, and he started getting reps at third base, which he was not nearly as comfortable as he was at shortstop, and he made it look easy out there. And I am curious to see how that transition goes to second base because he has really played none of second base thus far. So we'll see how that pans out. But I don't think you should send him down for the rest of
No,
the season.
I
And
I just think he's a professional. Like if
yeah,
there's one thing that can be said about him and Roman is that they're professionals. They came up and immediately looked the part. I mean,
yeah,
we talked a lot about how Christian Campbell towards the end of his first stint up in the big leagues, it looked like he was overmatched when he was struggling. Roman and Meyer, it never really looked like they've been overmatched, at least not yet. And Roman has said that himself. Like when he first came up and wasn't hitting the ball very, like, I mean, obviously he was hitting the ball hard, but he wasn't getting the results. He said time and time again, not once have I ever stepped up to the plate and been like, I don't have anything for this guy. Like I've always felt comfortable up at the plate. So like, they're professionals. And I think the same can be said about Meyer in the field. He's smooth as can be at third base, a position that he's barely played in the minors. Like he's been primarily a shortstop in the minors with some of those positions sprinkled in. So I think the biggest thing for him at second base is going to be figuring out how to turn two quicker or quick enough. But again, like I don't think there's any reason why he can't do that. Like he's a professional ball player.
yeah. And you see that paying off. I mean, this is a guy who you didn't really know what to expect heading into the season because you didn't know when he was going to come up. It always seemed like he was the first guy up after an injury, and he surpassed my expectations defensively. And I think he's come through in a decent amount of clutch spots with the bat in his hand. So we'll see how he develops, but I think he should be in the majors for the long haul at this point, unless something drastic changes. Um,
Yeah, unless him or Anthony, I don't think we're gonna see go down at all.
mhm.
But unless Meyer like really falls off a cliff, like we saw Christian Campbell do, I can't imagine that he's gonna go down at all this year either.
Yeah, agree there. Yeah, so moving on to our biggest disappointments. I had Tanner Houck. He had a brutal spring training that carried over into the regular season. He pitched, I think it's like 43 and 2/3 innings. That was good for an 8.04 ERA. And then he got hurt, and we haven't seen him again this season. I know he's been making a decent amount of rehab starts. Most of them have not looked very good. And I don't even know if he's going to factor in throughout the rest of this year because I don't think you can justify putting him back in the rotation. Could we see him factor in the bullpen? I don't know, but yeah, safe to say I was pretty accurate on that one.
Yeah, I don't know where Houck factors in. The rehab starts haven't been great.
Yeah,
The swing and miss again. I just don't. And I truthfully, I don't know what you do with him because we've seen him in stretches look like a pretty dominant, like he could be a dominant reliever. I think was it 20 that he first came up and was relieving.
I think so.
But part of being a reliever and like part of needing your stuff to tick up is generating swings and misses, and he just wasn't doing that at all at the big league level, and it started in spring training and carried over into the season. So I don't know what you do with him. It might just be one of those things where, like, I know his time must be running up on the rehab assignment, right?
Probably, yeah.
You only get 30 days.
Yeah, it looks like they started him on the rehab June 18th. So, yeah, I mean, we're basically there. I
He
don't
can
know
make
if
like
the
one
break
more
factors
rehab
in.
start.
Yeah.
I don't either, but I know you get 30 days. So
Mhm.
like we're getting pretty close to decision time on him. Is he either going to stay on the IL or is he going to get activated? Like it's rubber hits the road time, or even like I wouldn't discount. He still has options left. I wouldn't discount them activating him and just option him right back down to go figure things out. Like
Mhm.
it's not working right now. And whose roster spot does he take? Unless you're gonna put him in the bullpen, then there's an avenue for him there. But I don't know where he factors in that for this year.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to see him, especially you're in the heat of this playoff race right now. I don't want to see him making a start every 5th day, and I don't know how confident I am in him coming out of the bullpen either. You have a lot of decent arms there already. Like, I don't know. I just don't really want to lean on him for the rest of this year at all.
No, and it doesn't seem like you can. Like
Yeah.
I said, it just you can't. Simply put, you can't rely on him. So yeah, you hit a home run with your biggest disappointment. I, however, did not. I kind of already talked about it, Cedon Rafaela, and it was never like a lack of belief in the player. I just never thought he was going to be able to hit well enough, and it's something that I started to come around on, even when he was struggling, but was still flashing a great glove in center field. Because, like I said on the episode where I started to come around, was like I loved Jackie Bradley Jr. So like it feels pretty hypocritical of me to then be like, oh fuck, Cedon Rafaela, he can't hit. He's only good at fielding. But yeah, I was so wrong about that one. It's pretty funny. I mean, you talk about it. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball in since June 1st, really. I'm trying to populate the numbers right now, but like I said, my shit is moving so slow for some reason. Um but he's been incredible. Like I said, like talk about the clutch gene. It's something that Coley's been on for a while where if you need a hit in a big spot and Rafael is up, you can bet your bottom dollar he's gonna get that hit. I mean, the home run celebration after the walk off
Oh,
on Friday
so
was
cold.
so fucking sick. Like
Yeah.
for him to just stand there, like I'm glad we've come to a point in baseball where he's not wearing one the next day for that, because I feel like 10, 15 years ago, if you fucking stood there like halfway down the first base line, like tapping your veins and like going like that, like you're fucking wearing one the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sick. He's just been incredible. The numbers populated for me here. This is since June 1st. He's rocking a 172 WRC plus, which puts him at 8th in baseball. The batting average for you folk that love the batting average, where does he fall? 15th in batting average. He's hitting 316. Trevor Story 9th at 319. Well, it's going to make me calculate the OPS. I'm not even going to bother calculating the OPS because then I got to do it for everybody to figure out where he ranks. But he's been incredible. Not only is he one of the best, if not the best defensive center fielder in baseball, or the best defensive player, period, in baseball, he's also doing it at the plate. And I can't remember if it's something that I talked about on here, or if it's something that we just talked about separately, but like a lot of the metrics were for him were similar to Pete Crow Armstrong. Just the biggest difference was that Pete Crow Armstrong was pulling the ball in the air and it was leading to more home runs.
Yeah.
And I saw an article, a pretty in-depth article, saying like why Cedon Rafaela could be the next Pete Crow Armstrong. And it was a change that they made in Milwaukee of like, hey man, like pull the ball in the air and just see what happens. And since then, he's just completely taken off. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball. Like I said, by WRC plus, he's 8th in the league. Like some of these names are like obviously there are some outliers when you're talking about a month and a half sample size, but like Juan Soto, Byron Buxton, Aaron Judge, Michael Busch, Acuna, Kyle Stowers, Jazz Chisholm, and Cedon Rafaela. That's the top 8.
It's good company.
Like, yeah. Like, of course, there are some outliers, but like I think Michael Busch is really good too. And Kyle Stowers, he's been fantastic. So, like, yeah, I already made my Cedon Rafaela apology, but yeah, I'm willing to wear that one. I was wrong. And again, I'm more than happy to be wrong.
Yeah, I have enjoyed watching him throughout this whole season. I mean, even when the bat wasn't cooking, the defense is always there. So if he becomes one of these streaky Jackie Bradley Jr. type hitters that can turn it on like this at any given notice, I'm all in on that. And also, my cat is named Rafi. He was named for Rafael Devers, but since then, my dad and I have decided that Cedon Rafaela is the new Rafi. So I will not be changing my cat's name.
Nope. He doesn't have to learn a new name. Shout out.
Yeah. But that brings us to our midseason awards. A lot of these I feel like we can just fire through. So we can start off with MVP. I ended up going with Garrett Crochet because he has been the rock in your rotation whenever you need a key win. A lot of times he was there to stop losing streaks. But at this point, he's just there to shove it up the other team's ass wherever you're at. So I think he's going to factor in hugely throughout the rest of the season. I think if he's on, the rest of the rotation follows suit. And thus far, he has just blown me away.
Yeah, I'm trying to run the numbers on this really quick for whatchamacallit, for Roman Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just completely lost my train of thought. Keep rolling.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I was like, is something else coming there? I don't know. But
yeah, I was trying to do the Michael Scott. Sometimes I start a sentence and have no idea where it's going, and just hope I find it along the way. And the train just never came back around to the station.
It happens. But yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit more on Crochet. I think, like you said, the extension was key there, and I'm just super encouraged by what I've seen, but I also don't expect that to change. I know people are worried about the workload, and like you said, I just, the vibes of this team right now, I'm not even concerned about it. I think, though, he really didn't like the White Sox limiting his workload last season. And it seems like the Red Sox, especially since they didn't even skip his last start before the All-Star break, I think they're all systems go on him, and they'll monitor it if needed, but it's not a concern to me right now.
I found my the plane finally landed. It was a little bit delayed, but the gears were turning. The mouse up in my head was working overdrive, trying to get the brain to work. But the Boston Red Sox, do you know what their record is since June 9th, which was when Roman Anthony got called up?
Probably, I think it's the best record in baseball. I would say probably like 20-10.
The Boston Red Sox since June 9th are 21-9.
Okay, so
Roman Anthony was called up, and obviously we know that the bulk of the offense while he was struggling was carried by Rafael Devers, but Roman Anthony and Rafael Devers only played 6 games together that Anthony appeared in. Since Rafael Devers was traded, the Red Sox are 15-9, and Roman Anthony is hitting .306 with an .875 OPS. Jeez. Roman Anthony turns the season around. Turns out that all the people for months that were clamoring to get the kids up here and let them go. You have the number 1 prospect in baseball. He's hitting absolute tanks in Worcester. And Jeff Passan said it. Every single day that Roman Anthony is not up is a day that Roman Anthony could be helping the Boston Red Sox win baseball games. And what has he done since he's come up? He's helped the Boston Red Sox win baseball games to a record of 21-9. You trade Rafael Devers, and who's the first guy that goes into that number 2, number 3 spot in the lineup? It's Roman Anthony, because that's the type of player he was. And everything started to click the second that this guy got up here. Roman Anthony is your first half MVP.
That's got me ready to run through a brick wall. Man, oh man. Yeah, I don't hate the pick at all. Like it really does feel like once Meyer and Anthony got called up, that's when the season really turned around. So I'm all in on that. I think he's going to hugely factor in the rest of the season like Crochet. So I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, and like honestly, it was between him and Crochet. I kind of just picked Anthony for, like, I do believe like that was the turning point in it all, and he's been fantastic. And Bregman just came back. Anthony has been that presence in the lineup, and you can see the respect that these opposing pitching staffs are giving him. They refuse to throw him a fastball in the zone, and when they do, he just absolutely punishes them for it. He's the guy that we thought he was going to be. Like he's that dude. Like it turns out that he just came up and was immediately an absolute beast, which is awesome to see from a 21-year-old, because there's still so much room to grow. And as far as MVP voting goes, like I'm kind of partial towards position players. Like Cy Young is its own award for the best pitcher. Like the impact that a guy like Roman Anthony can have every single day, to me, is just greater than a guy like Crochet who only pitches every 5th day. Like, not to say that Crochet hasn't been, I just waxed poetic about Crochet 10 minutes ago. So, like, not to say that he hasn't also been, like I said, everything that we could have hoped for in that trade. But yeah, Roman Anthony.
Totally fair. Love the pick.
I'm a prospect hugger at my very core.
Oh, I know it. Yeah. So yeah, we also have our biggest surprise of the season thus far. This is a guy who I apologized to last episode. It's Romy Gonzalez, who has surpassed all of my expectations and more. And yeah, I wore it last episode. I'll continue to wear it for the rest of the season. He's a lefty killer, and he's even been producing a lot against righties when he's had to. But I will say, and I know I'm giving Romy his flowers right now, but if the Red Sox were to upgrade offensively, I still do think it would be at first base. To, how long does this Romy and Abraham Toro platoon production keep up? That's the one thing.
$1 million question.
Exactly. So do you want to get ahead of that? Do you want to add a more of a sure thing at first base? That's where I could see them upgrading. But thus far, Romy has shocked me so far, and I don't expect that to change, at least against lefties.
No, at the bare minimum in Romy, you have an absolute, like I said, I think his numbers now are better than Aaron Judge against lefties. So if you have Aaron Judge against lefties, at the bare minimum, like I said, the $1 million question is, how long does this Toro Romy platoon get you by? Because I mean, that production that you're getting out of both of them is a very good first baseman. I mean, again, we are the Tristan Casas podcast, but they outproduced him by a country mile so far this year. I kicked around Romy. I kicked around Greg Weissert. I kicked around Chapman. Just because I don't know, like, obviously we're gonna get to the reliever of the first half. We both have Chapman. Spoiler alert. We can
Pretty easy.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly say that to me, the biggest thing is he magically isn't walking anyone. They said when they signed him, and if you remember, they sprinted to sign Aroldis Chapman. Like, that was the first move they made. That was the big move they made, was like, here's Aroldis Chapman. Before Tanner Scott, before any of these guys, and they gave him big money for a reliever. So I thought about him because he's had a complete career resurgence here and looks like prime Aroldis Chapman. But I also went to a guy I apologized to, the guy that I pegged as my biggest disappointment heading into the season, Ceddanne Rafaela. We don't need to get back into it because we literally just talked about it. But yeah, hand up, I was wrong on Ceddanne.
It happens. I was wrong about Romy, and we move on. So,
and that's the thing. Like, I will be wrong about many more takes. This is not the first player I've been wrong about. It won't be the last player I'm wrong about. I'm not going to kick and scream because I was wrong about a player. Like, ultimately, like, both of these guys are helping the team that we want to win games. So, like, yeah, again, like, I will happily put my hand up and say I was wrong about Ceddanne Rafaela.
Totally agree there. Our biggest disappointment for so far this season, Yeah, I went with Walker Buehler. It's tough because they gave him a lot of money this offseason, and it was a one-year deal. But you were relying on him to be that middle of the rotation, kind of anchor because you didn't really have anybody else. This is the avenue you chose. Obviously, you missed out on Max Fried. You missed out on some other guys. You brought in Crochet, but it still felt like they could use another guy in the rotation. And that's the conversation we're having heading into this trade deadline. But Walker Buehler has done no favors. He is sporting a 6.12 ERA right now. He's 6-6 on the year. His last two starts, admittedly, were a little bit
more
better,
wins than Paul Skeens.
which is just absurd.
That's why wins and losses is such a stupid stat for
Yeah,
pitchers.
yeah. But I mean, you look at it, he's got 63 strikeouts in 78 innings. He's got a whip over 1.5. So, like you look at pretty much any stat and it's not good. He's a guy where I think they probably move on from him, to be honest. I don't know if he's going to finish the season in this rotation. If they make a move to acquire another starter, he's the first one to go. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think with the money associated with him, I think we've had this conversation on here before, but it'll be a Phantom IL before anything, and then
absolutely
maybe a bullpen role. Like, to me, his value comes in the playoffs. Like, we talked about Nate Eovaldi being a guy that stands tall in the playoffs, and Buehler was that. And they paid him to hopefully trying to kind of recapture the magic that he found in the playoffs after being one of the worst starters in baseball in the regular season last year. Right. Obviously, it was an abbreviated season for him coming back from the Tommy John, but I thought about him, and ultimately I was just like, well, he was also the worst pitcher in baseball last year, so I'm not like wildly surprised that that didn't magically change this year. But again, thank God he bet on himself and lost. Because if they signed him to a 3-year deal like they were pushing for at first, that would look absolutely brutal.
Yeah, no doubt.
I pegged Jarren Duran as my biggest disappointment because to me, he was a guy that you were looking at in the same way that you were looking at Devers. Like, Devers is your big bopper. He's your best player. Duran's your spark plug. It all starts with Jarren Duran. It doesn't matter if Rafael Devers, it doesn't matter if Barry Bonds is hitting in the 2-hole, if Jarren Duran isn't doing a good job setting the table for him. And so far, he's lost the leadoff spot pretty much against lefties. Like, last year, they let him hit against lefties no matter what, and he was always in the leadoff spot. And it's been a really disappointing campaign. It's only a 107 OPS plus so far. The defense in left field has been league average, to be generous. Like, he doesn't look super comfortable in left field, and it's a change that you happily make when you have, like I said, possibly the best defender in baseball and Cedar Rafael in center field. But now you have Roman Anthony, who Cora has said it time and time again, he's not going to be a 21-year-old DH. He has to play the field. Like, he's going to play the field. And you keep putting him in right field, but ultimately everyone says his home is in left. And in right, you have another Gold Glover in Wilyer Abreu. So there's so many reasons why Duran just feels like the odd man out, and he really hasn't done anything to help that with his performance. I know he's turned things around as of late, but to me, like, I wasn't looking for him to be the All-Star Game MVP because, again, like, in the All-Star Game, he hit one home run. It was one swing that made him the MVP. Like I said, I'm wearing the shirt. I appreciate the mental health stuff, but he's not getting it done right now for the baseball team. And ultimately, that's what we're here to talk about, and that's what we're here to break down. And I think myself and everyone was expecting so much more out of Jarren Duran this year, besides a league average hitter and generously a league average fielder.
Yep. League average fielder might even be a stretch there. I mean, it's been brutal at times. So, yeah, he's a guy, like we talked about, could very well be moved at the deadline. But yeah, it has been disappointing, and you wonder how much that affects his value because he has been turning it on a little bit in recent weeks. So we'll see what a potential return could be for him.
I feel like it doesn't affect his value too much. He's not a free agent until 29, so He's got 2 more years of team control, and you can sell a team on it. Like, I truly believe you can sell a team on his potential and what he brings to the team. Like, looking at his stats last year, 285 with an 834 OPS, 131 OPS plus, 48 doubles, 14 triples, both led the league. I believe. Is that what it is? Yeah, both led the league. 21 home runs. Like, he's a guy that you can really dream on. 34 stolen bases,
Yeah.
and I don't think that it's impossible to say that in a smaller market where he has less on his mind and less of a microscope on everything he does, that he's going to go and continue to be a star and continue to thrive. I kind of think things have run its course here. And I mean, like I said, part of that is the performance on the field so far, and part of that is just looking at the roster and the way things are currently constructed. But like I said, I'm not trading Jarren Duran just to make sure Masataka Yoshida can play every day.
Yeah, you're trading him for an impact win now move, I would
Yeah.
say.
That's why I don't know if, like I said, Andrew Painter earlier, and we're going to talk about all this stuff in the trade deadline primer next week. But like, I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, that's a move that they've kicked the can down the road this far. Like, to me, if you don't find the perfect trade for one of these outfielders, you just kick that can down the road to the offseason when so many more options are available to you, because you don't have teams that are like, okay, we don't think we're in it. Like if you're trading for Jarren Duran, like, it's also a move for that team to try to win too. Like, that's why it's a baseball trade. Like, you're looking for a deal that is going to trade from a surplus for both teams to address a weakness. It just happens that the Red Sox weakness is starting pitching, and not a lot of players or not a lot of teams are looking to move those players.
Yeah, I am going to be following that especially closely. Duran is one of my favorite players on the team, largely because of the mental health stuff, and I don't expect that to change, even if he is moved. But yeah, our reliever, pretty quick and obvious. Like you said, it was Aroldis Chapman. A career resurgence at this point, and I am still in the camp of, especially now that Passan and Rosenthal think they're going to be buying, and they're not going to be moving Chapman at the deadline, I think they should extend him. I still
Was it
think that.
Passan that said that? I know I sent you the tweet
Mhm.
when I saw it. Oh yeah, Passan. Aroldis Chapman is going nowhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
and he
one of those
shouldn't.
things. Yeah, no, I at one point was on the, well, you should trade Aroldis Chapman bandwagon, but I've kind of come off of that since then, because, and honestly, it was a conversation with my friend George, who is a big Cubs fan. He was asking if he thought that I thought they were going to move him, and I was like, honestly, like, I think they could, but like, also, he's been fantastic. And if the goal is to win, like, eventually you have to win. I think the bullpen could survive without Aroldis Chapman, but again, the goal is to win. The goal is to win the World Series every single year. Whether or not that's realistic this year, I don't know. I can't tell you what the rest of the season holds, but I can tell you that Aroldis Chapman gives you a much better job of doing that than he would if he was wearing another uniform. Like, sure, the bullpen could survive, but how awesome will it be if you get into the playoffs and the game's over if your starter gives you 6 good innings?
Mm-hmm.
And you can only do that with Aroldis Chapman. Like, you want it. Bullpens is what wins World Series, pretty much. Like, having a stable bullpen in October is one of the biggest keys to winning, and Chapman just does that. So yeah, I'm no longer on the trade Aroldis Chapman train.
I'm glad you've joined the other side here. And yeah, I'm excited to see how long this keeps up for the rest of the season, because it seems like he's really just found something new. Like,
He's just not walking anyone. He's throwing
yeah,
strikes, and it's
I
working.
mean,
I,
what a
I
crazy
think it's
concept that
sustainable.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's sustainable. And they said it. They said, we think we found something in him that can bring him back to prime Aroldis Chapman, and they were right.
Yeah, I only wish they they brought him in sooner. At this point, he's 37. Like, how long can he keep it going? But if you extend him for a couple of years, I'm all in on that. And I've
Yeah,
been beating that drum for a little while now. But yeah, that's where I'm at. In terms of Cy Young, we both put Garrett Crochet. Not much more to
pretty
say
easy.
there.
Yeah,
Um,
this episode has been a Garrett Crochet suckfest for the most part.
yeah, and also Roman Anthony Suckfest, because he was
Yeah,
both of our rookie of the, what do you say, rookie of the halves.
yeah, rookie ROTSH, rookie of the second half.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, ROTOSH, rookie of the unofficial second half, or UH, excuse me.
No, this is for
R-
the first half, isn't it?
oh, is it? Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Oh yeah, it is. Whoops. Well, spoiler alert on our rest of season predictions.
Yeah, we could just transition into that right
Yeah.
now. So these are our, I guess, second half predictions. So starting off, we have MVP. I went with Alex Bregman because I think it's kind of 50-50 for what he does on the field versus what he does off the field. Because you have seen, even when he was out for a while with the injury, he was helping a lot of these young guys develop. He was helping Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony really come into their own in the major leagues. And I think that is a big factor, especially I don't know what Pete Fatz really does, to be honest, because
we're Pete Fatsy guys now. The change in the hitting room is, which I was actually going to get into this when after you kicked it to me on Bregman, but the change in the hitting room that is a massive change. I mean, that is to identify that and figure it out, to be like, okay, and I know it's something that they said they've done in the past, but to figure out mid-season to individualize the hitting workouts, like, or the hitting meetings, like, they couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag.
But
On
did that
West
start with
Coast.
him?
Well, they said it was like a brain trust meeting on the plane coming back from LA. They said it was Cora, Fatsy, I forget, I don't know his real name. Everyone calls him Rosie. And who the hell is the other one? The guy they got from the Yankees, assistant hitting coach.
I don't know his name. I'll try to find it.
Yeah, it was those, however, those four guys that were sitting together on the plane, and that's when they hatched the plan to individualize the hitting meetings and move the couch in there and make it.
Is it Lawson?
Yes, yeah, Dylan
Lawson. Yeah.
And since then, I mean, like we said, the offense is firing on all cylinders. And yes, it was against the Nationals and the Rockies, whose pitching staff sucks. But, like, I mean, we see the change in Cedon Rafaela. We see the change in all these guys. Roman is hitting the piss out of the ball. And I guess I'll just get to my Bregman point here, too. Like, he's just been essentially another coach while he's been gone. Like, I heard a story that he would pop up to the players, like, pop up to those young guys and be like, all right, what are you going to do against this guy? And
exactly,
like, quiz them. Like, his impact has been enormous, but I don't think we can discredit what Fatsy has done for this offense since that road trip.
Yeah. Okay. So that aside, that one-off comment aside, I've I've come around on Pete Fatsy. That's not to say I just think
the Jon Snow sword meme when you came to attack Pete Fatsy.
Yeah. No. Totally fair. Like, I just think, like JD Martinez, Bregman has been that player hitting coach. Like, and
which
I
is
think that
it's something that we were talking about before they signed him, about how they haven't really had that type of person here since JD. And I mean, we know that the work that JD did with Mookie and Devers and all this young crop of players that were coming into their own when they signed JD.
Yep, exactly. So I think, like I said, it's 50-50 for what he can help with the young guys. And also, I think he's a lot of what your second half lineup will be. I'm very optimistic that he returns to form. And if he does, then he's the middle of your lineup. He's, it was cool to have that 1-2 punch of Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman. Now you have Roman Anthony and Alex Bregman, which I'd argue is even better if they're both home.
Let's not go crazy, but
I think I'm going to get crazy.
I think they will be better.
Yeah.
Eventually. But like I said, like, I think that Roman Anthony's like an MVP caliber player. So
nah, I don't miss Rafael Devers anymore at all. I'm fully focused on what comes next.
Well, and that's what's great about having this type of heater in this type of stretch where you're 21-9 in your last 30 games. Like, it makes trading that guy a lot easier. If they fell off a cliff and they continue to not be able to hit, even with the adjustment to the hitting room, then we'd be singing a completely different tune. Like, but the fact that, and Devers has been, we haven't even mentioned the Will Fleming nonsense, but
yeah.
Hashtag Team Fleming, obviously.
Of course.
That's our guy. But yeah, I don't know. I miss Rafi a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I do too. But I'm just trying to cope. I'm trying to go to the next half.
Well, I mean, we have to. We have to move on. Like, we're focused on this team. This team's playing really good. And if we just continue to dwell on the past, then we're never going to move past it. Like, if he's here, it's like what Duran said in his Section 10 interview. Like, he's there and we're here. If we just sit around and fucking cry about it, like, what's that going to do for us? Like, we have to continue to show up and play baseball here.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a tangent-filled MVP prediction. But yeah, I'm going with Alex Bregman.
Yeah, I'm going with Roman after I literally just said like I would still take Rafi over him. but,
Oh man.
but give me Roman. I'm a
Yep.
prospect hugger at my very core, like I said. I just think I think when he comes up, he just has it. He everything about him is like I said, he's a professional baseball player. In the stretch, he's hitting three whatever. I gave the numbers earlier. I'm not going to pull them back up, but I
Yeah.
think he's going to continue to get more and more comfortable with major league pitching, and he's going to play every day. Cora said that if there's one guy that's going to get in there every day, it's going to be Roman Anthony. It could be left, right switch on the mound. It does not matter. He's going to be out there, and he's proving why he was the number one prospect in all of baseball, and he's proving why you go under slot on was he the Mikey Romero year?
I think so.
Yeah, you go under slot on Mikey Romero, or it must have been Mikey Romero because Nick York was the Blaze Jordan year. You go
Yep.
under slot on Mikey Romero, and you give a bag to a guy that you believe in, and it's a credit to the last administration and Heim for identifying that guy and going out and landing him and paying him what it takes. But he's going to be a really, really good player for a really long time for this team, and maybe you brought him up a little bit sooner than you would have liked to because, like I said, I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year with the way that he's trending right now. But yeah, Roman Anthony, second half MVP.
Yep, love it. Our second half Cy Young was, of course, Garrett Crochet. Not much more to say on him, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, so for our breakouts, I'm going to stay with Richard Fitz because I do think, like I said, if they don't make an addition to the rotation at the deadline, then he's going to be that Hunter Dobbins guy. He's going to take his spot, and I think he's going to rise to the occasion. You've seen it at times throughout this season. And obviously, it took him a while to get that first major league win. But even still, his stuff has ticked up. He was throwing like 97, 98 consistently against the Rockies. Yeah. And I just really believe in him. I don't know what it is about him, but I've decided to buy into a lot of Richard Fitz stock. So I'm going to see it throughout the rest of this season. And I think regardless, what you got for Alex Verdugo is just awesome. So
yeah, and Greg Weissert has been fantastic. You could argue that you got more for Alex Verdugo than you got for Mookie Betts, which is
very easily
absolutely crazy to think about. My breakout for the second half is Marcelo Meyer. We've seen it in flashes for him, but it's just a 224 batting average with an 86 OPS plus. We know that they're not letting him face lefties yet, but I think he's going to get more comfortable. It's like I said before, like I've never had him step up to the plate and be like, oh, he was completely overpowered in that AB. And part of it is that they're sheltering him against lefties. Like I'm sure if they trotted him out there against some of the real elite lefties that they'll face, then maybe he would look overmatched. Yeah. But we haven't seen it to that point. I think he's just one of those guys that belongs. Like, I think Roman Anthony belongs. I think Marcelo belongs. I think Christian Campbell still belongs. I'm nowhere near giving up on Christian Campbell yet. He's just taking a different path than these guys, and that's okay. I mean, he took a different path from the second they drafted him. This is a guy that spent 1 year in the minors. Like, these guys, Marcelo's been around since, 21? Yeah. And Anthony's been around since 23. So these are guys that have so much more time in the minors and so much more time in professional baseball than Campbell. I think we're finally going to start to see Marcelo piece it together with more consistent playing time at second base, and I think he's going to break out in a major way here.
Yeah, that would be the icing on the cake, I think, for how the team has played thus far. If you get Meyer going consistently, then this lineup is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, for our Rookie of the Year, we both have Roman Anthony. No surprise there. And finally, we have our biggest disappointment. Yeah. I'm going to go with Greg Weissert.
Different guys, same reasoning, I would assume.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, you felt the usage with Greg Weissert in, I guess, the second – it's going to stay with me here – the second half of the first half of the season.
Uh-huh.
You've really seen him come back down to earth. He was pitching out of his mind for a while there, and then they just kind of ran him into the ground. And I don't think this is any fault of his own, to be honest. Like, I just think he's feeling it. Like, I can't imagine he's had a workload like this before. I just don't expect. I know Zach has read the numbers off. It must have been a couple episodes ago now, but yeah, I just don't expect that to change. And I think bullpen help is a key thing they need to target at the deadline, because you've seen Bernardino, you've seen Weissert come back down to earth and really feel that they've have like 40 appearances thus far. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact numbers, but I can guarantee you that it doesn't really get better from here. Like, I don't think he's just going to magically be like, "Oh, I'm okay." Like a week break just fixes everything. I just don't see that happening. So I hope they bring in some more help there. And yeah, I just don't see it getting better for Greg Weissert, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, as you shy away from, we've seen them shy away from Weissert and Bernardino. Bernardino less so than Weissert, but we've seen them start to shy away from these guys. But that just puts more strain. Now you're just wearing down some of those other guys for the
Right.
sake of getting these guys rest. And it doesn't seem like help is on the way in Justin Slayton anytime soon. They shut down his throwing program. I honestly, like, with the way that this is trending, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Slayton again this season. Like, they're
Mhm.
being so, like, I think cagey is the word that Chris Cotillo used when talking about how they're being with Slayton. Like, it just feels like this is something where it's way worse than we know. And
Yeah.
to me, like, I don't know, like with Slayton, this isn't a guy that I'm willing to really like push things with. Like, this is a guy, again, this is going to be a big piece of your bullpen moving forward beyond this year. So if it's something where you can go out and add another reliever at the deadline and just tell Slayton to, like, hey, if you need to, don't rush it, just pack it up for the year, like, we'll be okay this year, that's fine with me. I just don't see, I just feel like it's not happening for Slayton again this year.
I agree. And it's unfortunate because we both had pretty high expectations for him heading into the season.
I
And
thought it
now
was going to be the closer by like May 1st.
yeah, and honestly, you saw flashes of that, and then he went on the IL, and it doesn't seem like they have any timetable. It's kind of similar to Carter Crawford, except you never saw him this season. So
Yeah.
I really don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's going to be back, but regardless, you definitely need bullpen help.
Yeah, my biggest disappointment for the second half I have is Carlos Narvaez. And it's for a similar reason as Weissert. I think that the wear and tear is eventually going to catch up with him. Like, I mean, Connor Wong is just, he's not a major league baseball player. Like,
Mhm.
that's the long and the short of it. And everyone just says like, "Oh, well, why don't you just get a backup catcher?" Backup catchers just don't grow on trees. I mean, Wong has taken a step forward defensively this year. Last year, he was the worst defensive catcher in baseball. This year, he's been about league average, but he's just not getting it done with the bat. He's just a black hole. 1 RBI, 0 extra base hits. I know he was hurt for a little bit, but that's just not good enough as far as a backup catcher goes. So, like, you need to rely on Carlos Narvaez to play 6 days a week in some instances. Like, and I'm looking at it right now. The most games Carlos Narvaez has caught in his career up until this year, he's already surpassed that point, was 64. He caught 64 games in 2022 for in the Yankees organization. He's already at 71 this year. It just doesn't feel like something that's going to be super sustainable. This was actually going to be among my final thoughts. The Red Sox traded Blake Sable for cash to the White
Yeah.
Sox. So the catching depth is really, really thin down there in Worcester after Yasmani Grandal retired. Personally, I think I said it here. I would have given Grandal a shot before he retired. I would have just said, hey,
Absolutely.
like if he came to you and said, hey, you're going to retire, I would have said, all right, how about we give you one shot up here before? Because, like, and I know, familiarity with the pitching staff. Yasmani Grandal is a really good defensive catcher that's been around the block. I'm sure he would have been just fine picking up the load and working with these pitchers. I'm trying to find the two names now for the catchers. It's Sebi Zavala is one of them.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah. So the number 3 catcher in the organization right now is Sebi Zavala, and the number 4, if you just go by the AAA depth chart, is someone named Enderso Lira, who, according to Sox prospects, has spent the majority of the season on the developmental list in AAA.
Oh
So
boy.
I think a move's coming for a backup catcher. Hopefully that's
Yeah.
not also the right-handed bat the same way that it was with Danny Jansen. But to me, I just feel like the innings, like it's 606 innings of catching that Carlos Narvaez has done this year. Again, that previous high was 524 and a third innings. So he's already 82 and a third innings more caught this year than he ever has in his entire career. It's nothing against him. It's just I don't know how sustainable it is at that position.
No, I totally agree. It honestly, I might be a little bit more optimistic about the workload, but I don't know. It's harder for me to be as confident as I am in Garrett Crochet, and obviously it's two different sides of the ball. But I'm more confident in Garrett Crochet being fine than Carlos Narvaez. I mean, I've never caught consistently in my life. I'm a lefty, so it's kind of impossible. But I can't imagine it's easy, especially and
I
I
caught one
wonder.
inning at like 11 years old and
Yeah,
immediately was like, this shit fucking sucks. I'm never
yeah,
doing this again. I
yeah.
tried to tap out like in the middle of the inning. I was literally like tapping on my helmet, like, no, no.
Takes.
What do you got? No,
Huh?
no takes. No, no takes.
Guess not.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in there. It was just like we were just running a simulated game in practice. I was like, nope,
Get
nope,
me the
yeah.
hell
Get
out of
me the
here.
fuck out of here. This shit sucks. My knees hurt. I don't want to squat like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be horrible. It's probably the toughest position to play, maybe in all four major sports. I don't know if that's a bad take or not. But yeah, I want to be confident in Narvaez, but I agree. Like I think they need a more solidified backup catcher to take some of that weight off his shoulders. Because if you go with Connor Wong, then it's just a walking out everywhere you look.
I feel like that another move has to be coming. I feel like you don't
Yeah.
deal Sable for cash if you don't have something like at least like semi close. Like I don't
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be Sean Murphy. It doesn't have to be some like name that you know. It doesn't have to be a guy that can do a 50-50 workload, but like at this point if you can find someone who can at least be a serviceable catcher, a serviceable backup catcher for 3 days a week, 2 days a week, that does light years for Narvaez.
Yeah, I know we'll get into the trade deadline primer later in another episode, but a name that popped into my head is Kyle Higashioka, just simply
Yeah.
because the Rangers are probably on the outside looking in. Could you see them deal a backup catcher like that or someone along those lines?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I honestly I hadn't dove into the backup catcher market
Oh,
much,
you're
but
good.
I do like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at
And
all.
he's been serviceable at the plate too this year.
Yeah, and you've seen flashes. Like he was pretty good for the Padres and the Yankees before that. So,
I saw
uh,
Kyle Higashioka's first major league home run. Fun fact.
really,
Yeah, in Yankee Stadium, Red Sox Yankees against David Price. I
oh,
believe this was yeah. They got blown the fuck. It was in 2018 too. They got blown the fuck out in Yankee Stadium, and me and my buddy, we were driving down to DC for the for that national series where we
oh
got
yeah,
to see the infamous Rick Porcello double off of Max Scherzer.
oh
Uh,
hell yeah, I
But
remember
we were
that.
driving through New York a couple hours before Sunday Night Baseball, and we were like, I've never been to Yankee Stadium. You want to stop? We bought like $40 tickets. We were up in the nosebleeds, obviously, but they
Mm.
got their doors blown off, and we left in the fourth inning and kept it moving. It's like it was one of the only games I've ever left early, and it was just because we still had like 5 hours of this drive to go, and they got their doors blown off. Price got chased in like the second inning. It was ugly.
Yeah, yeah, that probably one of the few dull moments in that 2018 season. That
Yeah.
was I always look back fondly on that season. Maybe the best year of my life.
That was the last time they had a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah. So
Which
I mean,
also,
mhm.
Nesson put out a graphic about that it was the first time that they've had a 10-game winning streak since 2018. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Here it is. Do you know what the Red Sox record was at the end of that 10-game winning streak in DC?
In 2018,
Yeah.
dude. So that was after the second half, right?
It was July 2nd through
Oh, okay.
July 12th.
So essentially same time frame. I'm gonna go like 60 and what would that be? Like 30 something? 35?
Yeah, so they played boy.
I might be
We
dead
almost
wrong.
we almost made it through the entire episode with no Zach versus Matt.
Oh no.
Um they played 95 games at that point.
Okay, so yeah, 60 and 35, that's probably very off.
This team was 66 and 29.
Oh my god.
66 and 29.
Jeez.
like,
Okay.
like obviously you remember how dominant that team was, but then when you
Yeah.
actually look at the record after 95 games, they're 66 and 29. You're like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah, that was the best season I've ever seen. I think.
Yeah, that was I second that. That might have been the most fun year of my life.
Like
I was
just from
just like
start to finish, you knew they were going all the way.
I was just coming out of some tough times, if you'll have it, with my douchebag ex-girlfriend. Shout out, fuck Tampa. The root of my hatred of the city of Tampa. And for that team to just be like a complete wagon, like it was like that was the fall that I joined my frat, like, and made a bunch of friends and whatnot, and they were just an absolute wagon to top it all off. Like, I think I've told this story on here before, but we went to this karaoke bar one night, and it was in the middle of the playoffs after they won one of the series. And I was obviously I was 5 or 6 sheets to the wind at that point. And I sang Dirty Water, and just like every 4 seconds, I would go, "Don't let the songs get hot, too late, RER." And I wrapped
boy.
up, and the guy just goes, "Okay." That was the reaction, just okay. But yeah, shout out the 2018 Red Sox.
Hell yeah. Always willing to take the time to shout out the 2018 Red Sox. So the last thing we had here was, will they make the playoffs? And yeah, do you want to start off here?
Yeah, I think they're winning the East.
Mm-hmm. They're only 3 games back right now. Like,
yeah,
if you said that to me heading into this break, I would think you're insane.
Yeah, let me I actually had the baseball reference page up for the team. I want to say they were like as far as 10 and a half games back at one point.
Oh yeah, like it was pretty sizable.
Yeah. They were like, and I know we said this before the season when both of us had them winning the East, that like nobody in the division scares me. Like, I think the Yankees are showing their true colors right now. Like, their pitching staff is not very good, and their offense has one good player. I know Jazz has been really good as of late, and Bellinger had 3 home runs against the Cubs, but like they have one truly elite player, and you can come around and say, well, who do the Red Sox have outside Alex Bregman? And I will tell you, Roman Anthony is better than Aaron Judge. But there's just nobody really that scares me with the way that they're playing right now. Like, I think the Red Sox pitching core said it yesterday. We're gonna go as far as the pitching staff takes us.
Yep.
And I bank on this pitching staff more than I'll bank on anyone besides maybe the Rays in the division. So, like, I'm looking at, June 6th, they were 10 and a half back. So, month and change ago. Mm-hmm. And now it's 3 games back. Like, I just think they're riding really hot momentum. The Blue Jays, every year for the last 4 years has been the Blue Jays year. And just every year they fall apart. Yeah. And so I refuse to believe in the Blue Jays, which conveniently enough, this is like the first year in like 3 years that I haven't bet on the Blue Jays to win the East. So naturally, this will be the year that they do it. But yeah, I think they're going to win the East, and it could just be hopium. It could just be living in the moment and being a prisoner of the moment, not living in the moment. And we're on a 10-game winning streak right now. But I believe that this team has the tools to win the East, and that's before we even know what they do at the deadline. Which, to be honest with you, I'm expecting a pretty sizable addition.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I also think, oh man, more takes there maybe. But I also think the Red Sox have the most complete team in the division, and I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. You look at the rotation, you look at the what they have at the top in Crochet, you look at Giolito and Brian Bayo, who are in the midst of really great seasons. And you look at the lineup, and I would say I would put this lineup 1 through 9 against anyone else in the division and take them over any other team. And I don't know, like you said, like maybe that's hopium, maybe that's too much optimism given the state of the team right now. But I really think anything can happen here, and you're only 3 games out. Like that is not a crazy mountain to climb at all. So I think they're going to win it as well.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. I already have a bunch of tickets for them to win it, or else I would take it live. But yeah, I'm feeling good about where they're at right now.
Yeah. So that'll do it for looking back at our preseason predictions, also giving the midseason awards, and then the rest of season predictions. So we'll see how those pan out. We'll keep the receipts as well, and we'll have to wear it, of course, if those don't pan out. But we also had the MLB draft beginning last night, and I know you wanted to touch on the Red Sox first 2 draft picks there.
Not touching on anywhere.
Oh yeah, my fault. I know you wanted to discuss the the first 2 Red Sox draft picks here.
Yeah, so they made 4 picks last night. They've made a whole bunch more picks today. I'm only going to talk about the first 2 because to me those are the 2 most intriguing picks that they made. Quickly, I'll just give the other 2 that we're not going to talk about. The first one is Arninson. I forget how to say his name. Pitcher out of LSU. He was their number 2 behind Cade Anderson, who went 3rd overall to the Mariners. He was also 3rd in college baseball in strikeouts last year, behind Cade Anderson, his teammate, and Liam Doyle, who was on Tennessee, who went 5th overall to the Rockies, I think it was. To me, he's the least intriguing of the bunch, despite being like I said, third in college in strikeouts, just because it seems like he's a really high floor, lower ceiling type prospect. The velocity isn't necessarily there, but he makes his hay on his off speed and secondary pitches. I just don't know what that looks like as he moves up through the system. Another interesting note on all of the pitchers they've selected, most of them pitched in the SEC this year, which is obviously the best conference as far as baseball talent goes, but they're really digging into that SEC pipeline right now. As I'm trying to find his name, but obviously Sox Prospects has tweeted about every single guy that they've drafted so far. So shout out to them because I do not nearly have the capability of doing that. Anthony Ianson is his name. According to Ian Kundle, he'll probably slot in somewhere between the 12 and 15 spot in the current rankings. But on their podcast, they said that they kind of like to play things a little bit conservatively on pitchers that are just entering the organization. And for all these guys, we're not going to see them pitch until spring training. That's going to be the soonest we see them. They're going to send them down to the complex where they're going to tweak things. They're going to get them into the development system. The other one is Henry Godbout. He's a shortstop / second baseman with an elite name out of Virginia. A little bit undersized for the positions, but he's a high contact, high zone contact guy that puts the ball in play, and they think there's more room for power there. Honestly, it seems like a guy that they're kind of trying to follow the Christian Campbell development path with, a guy who makes good swing decisions and puts the ball in play, and see if they can make some tweaks with it to make him hit for a little bit more power. They said he was going to fall into like the 20-ish range. It depends on where they have Zach Earhart. I remember that they said he was going to slot in there. So that's a guy that I'm not super crazy about. But their first 2 picks, I'm very excited to see what they do with them. The first one is Kyson Witherspoon. He's a right-handed starter out of Oklahoma. They took him with the 15th overall pick. MLB had him as their 10th ranked prospect. Baseball America had him at 7. ESPN also at 10. And Fangraphs had him at 6. The Red Sox are on an unbelievable heater of having guys that were projected to go way higher in the draft fall to them. It started with Kyle. Honestly, it started with Marcelo Meyer, if we're being realistic about it. But Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, now Kyson Witherspoon. He's a right-hander, like I said, big velocity, multiple potential above average secondaries. He's got a weird release point. He kind of has they said it on the broadcast when they drafted him. He's got a little Keith Folk to it where he kind of like hitches it and hides it behind his body. It's pretty interesting there. He has a twin brother who got drafted by the Tigers, who was actually the higher rated prospect when they were both going to Oklahoma, but then obviously Kyson jumped him. He has a lot of the traits that they look for, obviously, in a lower release point, a funky release point, and then cutter slider are his two best secondary pitches. Like I said, we're not going to see him until the spring, so it's going to be hard to get a gauge on where things are. But we talked a lot about the imaginary pitching lab beforehand and how it hadn't really manifested itself at the big league level yet, but it is like wholeheartedly taken over the minor league development system between guys like Peyton Tolley, who once Meyer and Anthony graduate is going to be like Peyton Tolley, for all intent and purposes, is the number one prospect in your organization right now. This was the guy who I thought initially reading up on him was going to be a reliever. So it's a similar type player as, well, not a similar type player as that, but getting him into this system and seeing what you can do with him. Like Sox Prospect says that he has mid-rotation upside, but I heard people last night saying that he has front-of-the-line rotation upside. Like, I mean, obviously you have Fangraphs and, I mean, consensus top 10 across those 4 platforms, so there's obviously something to work with there. We'll see. I'm not expecting him to not sign. Maybe it'll be a little bit over slot, but again, like, not my money, don't care. They'll figure it out. This guy is the one I'm most excited for, the 33rd overall pick. Of course, the pick they got for Quinn Priester, along with Yoferi Rodriguez. They took Marcus Phillips. He's also a righty out of Tennessee. He's got one of the weirder arm angles I've ever seen. It's a little bit Tanner Houkish, where it's a side slot. The variation on his what do I call it? Rankings. Gee, what do I call it? Rankings. Good stuff, Zach. Well, we have been potting for an hour 45.
Yeah, we have.
The variation on his rankings is pretty interesting. So MLB and Baseball America both have him in the 60s. MLB at 61 and Baseball America at 67. Then ESPN had him at 40, but Fangraphs had him all the way up at number 13. So that, to me, that was the most intriguing thing. I think Fangraphs is a little bit more analytical and model-based, which is obviously what the Red Sox use than some of these other organizations besides Baseball America. Kundal described Phillips as a ball of clay for the pitching development lab. He compared him to Peyton Tolley and Brandon Clark, where he has a couple plus offerings and plus things that they can work with, and then kind of mold him and get him into the system and see where he lands. Like, again, like, it seems like reliever is his most likely outcome as we currently stand, but I would bet money on him developing pretty well in this development system. These are the guys that he's the guy that they compared to Peyton Tolley and Brandon Clark of last year's draft. He can pump 100 out of that weird arm angle slot. Some people have said that they think that he needs to tweak his delivery from that arm slot. I don't see the Red Sox doing too much with that, just because we know they like that kind of build in their prospect pitching. Fastball and slider obviously are where he's going to make his hay. He didn't really get a lot of track in college. He started in junior college and then came out of the bullpen his first year at Tennessee, and then only started this year as his number 2. So not a lot of mileage on the arm, which is always a plus when you're looking at some of these guys, especially in college, because their coaches just fucking let it bark out there like Gage Wood out of Arkansas threw a perfect game and he threw like 120 pitches doing it. Like they just absolutely let it rip in college. So for him to be a low usage guy is it's pretty big to me. And I think the fact that he hasn't pitched all that much and getting him into this system with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a great slider is like, I think there's a good chance that when it's all said and done, we're looking at Marcus Phillips as like the get of this draft class, especially with this. I won't even call it an imaginary pitching lab because on the minor league side, it's been a very real pitching lab.
Yeah, I admittedly am not super knowledgeable on the prospect draft side of things, so I just wanted to let you cook with that. But it seems like
I'll be able to dive more into some of these guys as we get more information on them. But I admittedly don't do a ton of pre-draft prep the same way I would for, say, like looking into the NFL draft or actually really just the NFL draft is the only one I get super in on. But like all my prep work from some of these newer prospects comes in the off season, usually when I'm prepping for dynasty baseball. Draft, so I'll have more on them as we get more information on them. Like right now, like I don't think they were expecting Witherspoon to be there for them.
No,
they were attached to I'm gonna get their names wrong, Gavin Klein and a pair of Gavins, middle infielders. Fiend, I think, is the other one. They were both selected before them, so I really think that they were gonna go with one of those two guys, and then Witherspoon kind of fell into their lap. But I'm like I said, I'm not super tapped into the MLB draft. But two guys that I think are worth highlighting.
Yeah, no doubt. And it seems like they're leaning pitching heavily in this draft. I don't know.
Yeah. The system's kind of thinned out a little bit when you look at the trades that they've made. And I know on Godbow, Sox Prospects guys, they compared him to Christian Campbell and Chase Mydrop as those kind of athletic middle infielders that put the ball in play and make good contact and good swing decisions. So I assume they're going to follow similar paths. Obviously, with Campbell, we know they hit the home run there. But with Mydrop, I mean, not that Mydrop was like, I would say Mydrop is a developmental victory to turn that player into a useful piece. And I mean, he's been really good for the White Sox. So we'll see what that comes with. But I'll keep an eye out on some of these later round guys. I mean, I think they've made like 15 picks today. A lot of them have also been pitchers.
Yeah,
but the risk
with 19.
Yeah, so the risk with all of these pitchers is the same risk that you have. Like, it's the same reason why I'm not super crazy about pitching prospects in general. Is just so much can happen developmentally, and then with the ticking time bombs that is your elbow, it's just a lot can go wrong in a very short span of time. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what they do. I'm sure we'll get more information from a whole bunch of different outlets about what their plan is for those guys. But shout out to them. Newest members of the Red Sox organization permitted that they sign, although they're both college arms. So I would expect both of those guys to sign.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the pitching lab does with more young arms because, like you said, it seems like it's working well in the minor league. So we'll see how that translates to the majors down the line. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we mentioned the Sable trade, not too much. I just would expect that another catcher of some kind is coming into the organization at some point in the next coming weeks. I gave my shout out to Pete Fatsy a little bit earlier as well. The hitting change, I think, has been I think that's worked wonders. And I mean, Cora said it a bunch on whether it be on EEI afternoons or conferences. It makes sure that guys can like you just be like this and like, oh, like Alex, what do you got here? Like, oh, I got this and this, and I'm gonna look for this, and then like, all right, what do you got, Marcelo? Oh yeah, same thing as those two guys. Like, it just kind of it doesn't hide as much, which is nice. So shout out to Pete Fatsy there. But other than that, I don't have too much.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out Pete Fatsy. Shout out the Boston Red Sox. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Enjoy your All-Star break, a little bit of a reset as we get ready for the second half here. And we'll check in with you guys again soon.